Here, let's go straight at it.
Okay.
There's a lot of talk right now about the gun ordinance in Hammond, and I know it's kind of confusing. Explain to people where it is and what gets enforced and what does not get enforced.
We had a gun ordinance, had, past tense, a gun ordinance in Hammond. It was passed in the late 80s, early 90s, right after a murder-suicide we had on the third floor of City Hall. An estranged husband whose wife was filing charges against him was on the third floor in the prosecutor's office, and the husband came into City Hall with a weapon, killed her in the prosecutor's office on the third floor, and then killed himself. Shortly thereafter, my father was mayor at that point. Shortly thereafter, the Hammond City Council, my father was a Republican mayor, which is interesting. Shortly thereafter, the Hammond City Council passed an ordinance that said no weapons of any kind shall be allowed in City Hall. My father, Republican mayor at the time, signed that ordinance into law, and ever since that, in fact, we had at the entrance to City Hall, we had metal detectors for a long time, all the way through my father's mayor tenure and through your cousin's tenure as mayor. We had metal detectors at the front. You know, literally you couldn't get into City Hall with any weapons of any kind. You were screened. We took away those metal detectors when I became mayor, and then this issue came up downstate. An issue is the Indiana General Assembly, in all their wisdom, decided to pass a law that said weapons should be allowed in City Hall. In public buildings, weapons should be allowed. Guns specifically should be allowed if you're licensed to carry. They passed a law that basically said you can carry your gun if you're licensed in a city building. Any ordinances that conflict with this, like ours, are void. So our ordinance was voided once the state passed that statute. All right. Now, what happened was Councilwoman Poland in Hammond floated a repealer to our ordinance, which in my opinion was unnecessary. You don't need to repeal a void ordinance. It's void. She floated a repealer ordinance to the council, and it lost 8-1. So technically, the mayor was never even involved in that. It never even got to the mayor's desk because you need 5 votes on the city council to repeal that ordinance. It lost 8-1. Most of the council members felt that, first off, they didn't want to vote on the record that they supported bringing weapons into, city buildings, city parks, things like that. So 8-1. The ordinance was voted. The repealer ordinance was voted down, but that does not mean that our ordinance is still valid. Our ordinance is voided by state statute. So the long and the short of it is this: we do have an ordinance on our books that conflicts with state statute. It's not repealed, but it's not being enforced. We've never enforced it at this point. You could be walking around parks with a weapon. We would have no idea because we don't enforce it. State statute trumps. 2 days later, I was sued by the NRA. The NRA found 2 locals that have affiliations with Hammond. One of them's a Purdue Cal student. The other one's a grandma that wants to take a weapon into a park. They got this lawyer from Zionsville who specializes in NRA cases, and they filed suit against the city of Hammond. And we're going to win because we've done nothing wrong. Other than talk, I've talked a lot about guns and how I feel about guns. They don't like that. They being the NRA, and they're listening probably right now and tape recording everything I say, and that's fact. 2 days later, I got a letter from the NRA that says the NRA letter says they consider our ordinance void. The NRA considers our ordinance void by state statute, but that didn't stop them from finding 2 locals to file a lawsuit against the city.
So basically, right now, if you wanted to walk into Harrison Park right now with a gun,
you could do it legally.
You could do it legally,
right?
Because the state law supersedes it.
Absolutely.
So what are you being sued about? I'm missing that point.
That's the weakness in their case, Jim. They're suing us. They have nothing to sue us for. We've never enforced the ordinance since the passage of state statute. 6 months ago, if we caught you with a weapon in Harrison Park using your same hypothetical, we could have cited you for violating city ordinance. Okay. Now, if you have a weapon in Harrison Park, as long as you're licensed to carry, it's fine. What really disturbs me is you could take a gun into Hessville Pool. I mean, granted, you'll look silly carrying a gun, but if you're licensed to carry, you could go to the Hessville Little League games and watch a game packing heat. You could go to Optimus Little League. You can go to how about this? You can go to the Civic Center. You know how that gets, Jim, in the stands? Let's go to fight night at the Civic Center. I'm bringing my gun with me. These people in Indianapolis have freaking no clue, excuse my language, about Hammond, Indiana, and what it's like up here. They have no clue. This is an accident waiting to happen. And when it does happen, I'm going to point right at the Indiana General Assembly because these guys are
Let's go to Art Online, too.
Hey, Art.
Good morning. How you doing, Mayor, Donna, Jim? On the gun thing, I have a lifetime permit to carry my gun.
Good for you, sir.
But it's my God-given right, or
yes, sir.
my constitutional right.
Yes, sir.
And I'm very responsible with it. 99% of the time, it stays at home.
I'm sure, and I have a lot of friends that carry it as well, and they say I would never consider carrying my weapon to a park,
no,
or to a Little League baseball game,
no, heck, no,
or to the Civic Center. I mean, there's
no,
you know,
no, absolutely
but
not.
unfortunately, Art, unfortunately, there are people that will.
I understand that, but like I say, it's a responsibility issue that you have to know if you're going somewhere, you feel you might need it, and you're being responsible, then do it. If you're not responsible, then don't have a permit.
Well, I mean, the good news is, technically, you can't get a permit if you're a felon, and technically, if you're a bad guy, you can't get a permit. And I know that's how the NRA justifies this, saying that the good guys are the ones that are going to be packing in these buildings, and I understand their argument.
I come to City Hall, you know that.
Yes, sir.
The Civic Center and everything else, and my gun stays at home.
All right. Well, I appreciate it.
So
Thanks for calling.
I guess part of your aggravation, it almost sounds like, is that, I mean, you feel as if certain places are being treated differently. You can go into city council chambers. You can go into your office.
Well, actually, technically in Hammond, because we have a courtroom as part of our city building, you cannot bring a gun in our building. But you could bring it to planning and development. You could bring it to the Civic Center. You could bring it to a fire station. You can bring it to the police station. You can bring it to a park, to a pool. You can bring it to a lot of places. You can't bring it in my building, though, because we have a courtroom, and judges don't like guns. But, mayors, too bad for you.
Let's go to Danny on line 1.
Hi, Danny.
Hey, how's it going?
Thanks
Hey,
for calling.
you know what? My thing with the gun law thing, it's like you're talking about the General Assembly's kind of trying to, make the decisions for the cities and whatnot. I mean, is there any training involved when these guys ask for their permits?
I'm sure there is.
Okay, well, I mean, as far as like being responsible gun owners, there's also background checks also, right?
I'm sure there is.
I mean,
I'm not licensed to
carry.
carry.
Better about people carrying guns. I mean, not carrying guns.
So you're saying just because they've made it through the background check and they made it, through the training that they get, that they'll never use that weapon to try to kill somebody?
I mean, the whole purpose behind a weapon, I think, is to protect yourself. So I mean, if the time comes where you need to either protect yourself or be killed yourself or whatnot, I think it's there for the use. I mean, it's not there to paint pictures with.
And I'm not trying to argue with you, Danny. I'm wondering. I wonder if that guy that almost killed the congresswoman in Arizona was licensed to carry. I would go on the record and say
those are isolated incidents, though. I mean,
no, but you know what, though?
I mean, we've changed the way we handle things because of 9/11. Whatnot, and that we had there was things that we had to do and change afterwards. But we're kind of trying to go back to the normalcy, whatnot. So we can't let isolated incidents dictate exactly how we're supposed to run our lives.
Daddy,
I
subscribe to the philosophy that the local officials know better than somebody down in Indianapolis, or somebody from New Albany, Indiana, is passing laws that affect Hammond, Indiana. When Hammond, Indiana, we know best what's going on up here.
A city's a city, a town's a town. I mean, where people are people. We all have the same beliefs. We all value life.
Well, we don't all agree with you, Danny.
All right, go to Mark.
I don't agree with you, Danny. Yeah, Mark, how's it going?
Good morning, man. Good morning, Jim. Hey, I understand that people want to carry guns, and that's their right to do it. But as a parent, if I feel the need to take a gun to a park or a playground, I might want to reevaluate if I want to take my child there. I mean, what am I going to tell them? Come on, kids. Daddy's going to take you to the park. We're going to have a real good time. It might be called in a shootout, but other than that.
I've been going to Hammond Parks for a long time, Mark.
I don't think, if it gets to the point where I feel I have to carry a gun everywhere, when it's places like, for fun events, don't get me wrong, sometimes things do happen, and it might be a situation where, the gun might save you some, but if it's to that point, I mean, because I'm from the city. I grew up in Inglewood in Chicago, so I know all about gun violence and, people want to carry guns and stuff like that, but, I mean, if it gets to the point where I think I need to carry a gun just everywhere, then, I mean, I'm not going to probably be putting myself in a situation where I'm going to be at that place. That's just my opinion. But I do understand where people coming from. They want to be able to carry guns, wherever they want to. But, I mean, certain places, you should just say, I don't think I need to carry no gun with me, you know?
All right. Hey, thanks a lot. Talk to you. Let's move on to
25 square miles. Thank you, Councilman Mike Ripe, who updated me, and Kevin Margraf for the Hammond Fire Department.
Bob on line 3.
Hi, Bob. How's it going?
Good. I just don't understand one thing. There's the old expression, you can't fight City Hall. I don't understand why the city of Hammond is spending a dime on any kind of legal fees. You know, we're going to get sued.
Bob, this wasn't my choice. I didn't ask to get sued. All we did was we took an ordinance.
You're defending a law. Granted, it's on the books. You're going to spend money to defend the law.
Let me ask you a question, Bob. Hey, Bob, let me ask you a question, okay? When a ordinance is passed by the council, it comes to the mayor for their signature or for their veto, right?
Yes.
So we all agree that if an ordinance passes the council, which in this case the repealer ordinance did not, but let's just act like it did, okay? When it comes to my desk, do I have a choice whether or not I can sign that or not?
Yes, you do.
Thank you. I agree. So if I don't really think it's a good policy, I don't have to sign it, right?
No, but then are you going to take?
So
the
are
money
you
out of
saying
your
I have no
pocket to
choice?
defend the
Are
law?
you saying I have no choice, Bob? You're saying you have to sign
but
this?
you have the right to. You have the right to dispute it all you want. I'm asking you directly. Are you going to take the money out of your pocket to fight a lawsuit against us to violate a state law?
Thank you.
219-845-1100.
Yeah, how you doing? I'm calling about your gun control you're trying to get.
What's that?
No city or no local organization should have any right whatsoever to tamper with the Constitution of the United States of America.
What does the Constitution say?
That's not a city issue.
What does the Constitution say on this?
The Constitution says you have a right to bear arms.
You know what the first 4 words of the Second Amendment are?
You know what?
Yeah. A well-regulated militia, being necessary for the security of a free state, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The first 4 words are about a militia. It's not about guns. A well-regulated. Listen to me. Listen to me. A well-regulated militia, being necessary for the security of a free state, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
No,
this is about, in my opinion, it's about a militia.
The Constitution of the United States.
You don't know what you're talking about, Al.
You're in enough trouble already.
Thank you.
219-845-1100. Let's go to we got George again.
Hi, George.
Hey, good morning.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if Democrats are not just being led into a wedge issue, another wedge issue, because this to me just sounds like a piece of redneck legislation designed to use red meat for the Tea Party types, and to me it's completely a wedge issue. I mean, there's a lot of Supreme Court decisions that kind of really nuance the Second Amendment rights, that the God-given Second Amendment rights and all that. And
most of these people don't even read the Second Amendment. Most of these people have never read the Second Amendment. They think it says you have the right to carry guns. It doesn't say that. It says a well-regulated militia, being necessary for the security of a free state, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. In 1791, when the Second Amendment was passed, we had Indians to our west and oceans to our east. We had France. We had England about to pound us anytime. We had no standing army. Okay? We were the army. We, the Americans. That's why we had guns. It's because we were the main line of defense. Nowadays, we have gangs with guns. We have an army, a navy, Air Force, Marines. It's a completely different time, okay? And this is the way I feel. God bless America. I have a First Amendment right? I feel this way. When an ordinance comes to me, I have the right to pass it. I have the right to veto it. That's a right that the mayor has. The state assembly passed a law. I don't agree with it. It voided our ordinance, period. I didn't ask to get sued. I have a right as mayor to do what I think is in the best interest of Hammond, and I did. And I'm proud of it.